Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Minister for Economy, colleagues and the people of Fiji. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to deliver my address on the 2018-2019 budget. Madam Speaker, when I was in high school, my principal told me that there are three categories of people in this world. The first is those who make things happen. The second is those who see things happen. And the third category involves those who don't know what's happening. When it comes to Fiji, it is the Fiji First government that makes things happen. The people of Fiji see things happen. And then we have the opposition members who don't know what's happening. The level of contribution that the opposition has been making since yesterday and right from 2014 is a testimony to that. The opposition parties are running out of ideas to tackle Fiji First and are now resorting to fear-mongering, hoping to get votes. For the past few days, weeks and even months, we've been hearing horror stories spread by the opposition. One party is saying that Fiji has taken so much loan from China that Fiji will be sold to China. The same person who spread this rumor happens to be the leader from outside or the non-traveling coach of this team who himself sold his land on one Wallywood to a Chinese. Then there's another party who went around saying somewhere in Lambasa that Fiji has taken so much loan from Iran, Iraq or Pakistan that Fiji will be sold to them. This is utter nonsense, Madam Speaker, utter nonsense. I have some other words for such stories, but if I use those words, it will become unparliamentary. Little do they know that under international laws, it is not possible for one country to take over another anymore. If any such thing was possible, all those countries who have taken loans from another country would have been taken over by their creditors years ago. To put things in perspective, let me give examples of some other countries and their debt to GDP levels. These countries are seen as some of the strongest economies on earth. Japan, Madam Speaker, has a 239.2% debt to GDP ratio. Singapore, 112%. United States of America, 107.4%. Canada, 92.3%. And guess what? These countries haven't been taken over by China, Japan, Korea, Iraq or Pakistan. In contrast, Fiji's debt to GDP ratio is only 45.6%. The opposition goes further and make it seem like everything in Fiji is wrong. They claim that there is little economic development and everybody is finding it difficult to make a living. They make it seem like we are living in a desert where nothing grows and nothing happens. One just needs to travel along the Queen's Road from Ba to Suva and they will see the development that is happening around us, with shops, warehouses and other buildings coming up, and that is just one example. Very good indicator. I have family who travel from overseas regularly and have been doing so for the past 40 years, Madam Speaker. They tell me that the level of development they have seen under the Fiji First rule has not happened in the previous 44 years after independence. Madam Speaker, under the Fiji First government, we have many social policies. We have many social policies to empower Fijians. We have the old age pension, food voucher programs, free bus fare, free education, zero income tax for people earning under 30,000, free legal aid, TELS and TOPA schemes, grants for new home buyers, subsidized electricity charges, free medicine schemes, and now we give $1,000 per child who is born and registered with the BDM registries. Never ever before. Even the national minimum wage, which the opposition is so obsessed with, was introduced by the Fiji First government. The people who are talking about $4 and $5 minimum wage had no interest in legislating a minimum wage when they were in power. No other government did that, Madam Speaker. In addition, we have given $470 million to ordinary Fijians to rebuild after Cyclone Winston. We have given around $173 million to Fijians after Cyclones Kenny and Josie. No government anywhere in the world does that. They call it freebies, but we do it because we love and care about our people and their families. I was talking to a father from Coronumbu in Ba, Madam Speaker. And he told me he supports the Fiji First government for one basic reason, among many other reasons. He has 3 children in school. The school bus fare from his settlement to town per child is 85 cents. A further 35 cents from town to school. That is $1.20 per child one way. In a week, he would be paying a total of $36 in just bus fare to send his 3 children to school. Under the Fiji First government's free bus fare scheme, the government is paying $36 per week to get his children to school. Taking that, his children attend school for 40 weeks per year, the government is paying $1,440 on his behalf. In 4 years of the scheme, the Fiji First government would pay a massive $5,760 in bus fares alone for parents like him. You tell these people that they live on freebies and they will throw you out of their villages. People of Fiji don't get swayed by some greedy politicians who come with a box of ration and 2 bottles of water in times of disaster just to get your votes. They will disappear after the elections and posting it on Facebook. Fiji First has done much more for you and will keep doing much more for you than these unscrupulous politicians. Fiji First will stay here for you. We will give assistance to Fijians. The opposition calls it freebies, and we don't do it. And when we don't do it, they say that people are living in tents. The opposition is confused, Madam Speaker. The opposition is now increasingly looking like a low-budget Bollywood movie whose script has gone horribly wrong. It's like a movie where there's no coordination. The songs and dances are all here and there. There is no action, there's no message, and it is full of comedy performed by some B-grade comedians. These assistants don't happen by magic. We do not have a magic wand which we can wave and make things happen. We are able to sustain such programs because we have achieved that through sound financial management. We are managing the economy well. The opposition is devoid of ideas. They fail to understand the basic principles of economy. The GDP of Fiji has increased substantially. Therefore, the debt to GDP ratio has decreased. For the uninitiated, GDP means the total value of goods and services produced by a country. In simple terms, if I produce this bottle of water for $1, it has contributed $1 in terms of goods to the GDP. If I mow somebody's lawn for $10, I've contributed $10 worth of service to the GDP. That is another example if I come to it. The debt to GDP ratio in simple terms would mean if you are worth $100 and take a loan of $50, your debt to GDP ratio is 50%. But if you are worth $200 and take a loan of $75, which is $25 more than $50, your debt to GDP ratio is only 37.5%. That is what the opposition can't get. One can take higher loans for development based on their capacity to pay from the value of goods and services they produce. The opposition's claim that our debt levels are critical and a takeover of Fiji is imminent is false. They are just misleading the people. It is pertinent that we look at the government finances for the past years to get a true picture. Quoting from the Public Accounts Committee report of Manu Lisan, it is pertinent that we look at the government finances for the past years to get a true picture, quoting from the Public Accounts Committee report of Manu Korovulavula. Madam Speaker, the total government revenue in 1995 was only 718 million. 96, 729 million. 97, 803 million. 1998, 1.4 billion. 1999, 1.0 billion. 2000, 1.35 billion. And only after we came to power, in 2007 it went to 1.5 billion, thereafter 1.8 billion, and in 2009 it was 1.818 billion. In 2004, the total revenue of the government was 1.176 billion, Madam Speaker. The total expenditure was 1.322 billion. The net deficit was 146 million. 82% of that money was used as operating expenditure. 82% was just used for salaries and operating expenditure, and only 18% in capital expenditure. The public debt to GDP ratio was 51%. The public debt to GDP ratio in 2004 was 51%. Any guesses who was the Prime Minister then? Which party was in power? That was Garase under SDL. Under Fiji First government, Madam Speaker, in 2015, our revenue increased to $3.12 billion. The GDP increased to 8.67 billion. In 2016, our revenue rose to 3.128 billion. The GDP was 9.6 billion. In 2016-2017 budget, our revenue increased to 3.175 billion. The GDP was 9.866 billion. And Madam Speaker, in 2018-2019 budget, the revenue projection is at a record high of 4.236 billion. And the GDP is a record high of 11.673 billion. They ask where we get the money from. That's your answer there. You see, in 2006, the total budget was only 1.2 billion. Today, it is 4.7 billion. While the tax rates have been reduced, revenue from direct taxes and indirect taxes have increased. It shows sound financial policies and principles of tax collection, investment, and debt management. Madam Speaker, I also quote from Manu Korobulabula's Public Accounts Committee report. In 1997, the debt to GDP ratio was 54%. 1998, 47%. 2003, 49%. 2004, 50%. 2005, 48%. And 2006, 53%. We are doing very well. We are below 45%. It is also made possible by strong leadership that our Prime Minister, Honorable Bainimarama, and a genuinely democratic constitution. To have a strong economy, Madam Speaker, we need a strong legislative framework. Madam Speaker, Honorable Lalampala, who admitted in Parliament yesterday that the 1990 and 1997 Constitution made it legally possible to convert Ethiopia land to freehold, as was done in Denrau and Momi Bay. It is therefore shameful that some people sitting in this very room are praising the 1997 Constitution. That is the primary reason why we should praise and appreciate the 2013 Fijian Constitution, which has closed all doors to deprive our Ethiopian brothers and sisters of their land. And it is made possible, and it is made impossible for such travesty from happening again. And the stability ushered in by the 2013 Constitution has contributed directly to a strong economy. In addition, the Fiji First government does not take loans to party and merrymaking. We invest 40% in capital development and 60% in operational expenditure. Compare this to 2004, when a massive 82% of the revenue was used in operational expenditure and a mere 18% was used for capital projects. Guess which party was in power then, who was the Prime Minister? It was SDL. The infrastructure, the roads and bridges we build today will be used by generations of tomorrow. It is not an election budget. We have been doing all along. We have a long-term vision. The leader of NFP has said the last budget was an election budget. He says this year's budget is an election budget. If that's the case, then we have been giving election budget for the past 4 years and the 8 years prior to that. No wonder the Fijians are so happy with our government, because we've been giving them election budgets. The opposition, with all their hollow ideas, they still think that they can govern better. They think that when and if ever they come to power, they can convert all student loans to scholarship and raise the minimum wage to $5 an hour. They are not telling us where they are going to get the money from. The opposition, Madam Speaker, seems to suddenly have gotten hold of magician David Copperfield's magic wand, which they can wave at any time and get the money falling from the sky. Sodalpa, Madam Speaker, can't manage their own party finances. The leader of opposition, Honorable Rotemo Kepa, has been quoted by the Fiji Village website on 2nd July questioning how can Sodalpa run their next government if they cannot even pay their workers well. With their 15 MPs at $15,000, they received $225,000 from Parliament, about $250,000. They can't manage a $250,000 party budget and dream of managing a $4.5 billion national budget. NFP really needs to rise above the mere bread and butter issues, or should I say bread and lamb chops issues. Bread having a monopoly by Honorable Samisoni. Ask the students, they will tell you that internet data is equally important. Ask the students, they will tell you that internet data is equally important. There are other important things than just food items. One needs to see the ethnic makeup, at the hotbread shops around the country to know why Honorable Samisoni is so obsessed with ethnicity. They talk about increasing number of people below poverty line. It is false, Madam Speaker. They talk about the increasing number of people under poverty line. It is false. We have put tax threshold to $30,000 a year. People earning $30,000 and below are not paying any income tax. VAT has been reduced to 9%. Employer contribution for FNPF has gone up to 10%. micro-enterprise grant, social welfare assistance, free bus fare for the elderly. The poverty line only exists in the imagination of the opposition members. We are building roads, we are building bridges, airports, hospitals, and even flight simulation centers, and they are still stuck on the same old tin fish. We have now introduced zero charge for people using cards for FPOS machines for purchases. We are curbing black economy, including e-ticketing. Some people don't like that because now they can't hide their money. And then Honorable Pramod Chand comes and tells this House that it has become difficult to do business in Fiji. It is only difficult for people who want to take shortcuts. It is only difficult for people who want to take shortcuts to become wealthy at the expense of the nation. Even he will agree that the e-ticketing is good for the bus industry. We have enabled Fijians to buy cars. The opposition in one breath talks about increasing number of cars and traffic jams, and in the next they talk about rearing horses in horse farms or barns. If they have their way, Madam Speaker, we will go reverse and back into the Stone Age when we will see all horse traffic between Suva and Nosori. NFP says that they will put the price of cane to $100 per ton. Such a move will damage the industry, Madam Speaker. There is no guarantee that the money will be reinvested in the industry. In contrast, we are providing grants right from the plowing and planting of $800 per acre to fertilizer, to weedicides and harvesting. We are making responsible decisions. We have guaranteed sugar prices at $85 per ton for the next 3 years. This is sustainable. NFP is just making pies in the sky. The current price of sugar in Europe is 450 euros per ton. That is 1,080 Fijian dollars per ton. It takes an average of 9 tons of cane to make 1 ton of sugar. Therefore, the maximum we can earn from the sale of 1 ton of sugar in Europe is 120 Fijian dollars. That includes the cost of running the mills, marketing, paying the staff, and improving the infrastructure, among other things. Their proposed $100 per ton will destroy the industry. They talk of subsidizing cane payment and then they talk about debts. It doesn't make sense. Another Bollywood story. Our PM stands on high moral grounds, Madam Speaker. We have given more water and power connections. We have built roads and bridges. We have built roads and bridges. And these people are building walls and trenches. Walls between different races and trenches between different religions. They say that Fiji First Party, is an MM party. It's a Mandarajan Muslim party. How unpatriotic. Stop this campaign of deceit. We don't brand people. We brand our products. We have put Fiji's products first. We have rebranded Air Pacific to Fiji Airways. We have rebranded Rewa Rice to Fiji Rice Company under the able management of the mill manager, Mr. Sri Pratap, in Honorable Prasad's own backyard in Raketi. He should go and have a look at the new $5 million new rice mill there. He will know what we're talking about. We are proud of Fiji, Madam Speaker. We don't go around belittling Fiji before Australian journalists on 60 Minutes or on Radio New Zealand. Madam Speaker, if one travels the King's Road from Ba to Suva, they will notice that there are about 84 road humps. Just when your vehicle is about to speed up, a hump appears. Likewise, when I see the opposition members, I don't see 18 people. I see 18 road humps on the road of Fiji's progress. Every time Fiji gains speed, these 18 road humps appear from nowhere. In the field, in soccer field, you can't beat, when you can't beat the opponent, the technique is to fail the player. When you can't beat the opponent in soccer, fail the player. It's called Langi Maro. This is what they are doing. They have run out of ideas. We make responsible budgets. We don't make false promises. We don't Langi Maro here. We don't make false promises in making tails free. We can make big promises too, Madam Speaker, but Honorable PM stands on higher moral ground. We are responsible. People of Fiji should be careful of these false prophets. People of Fiji should be careful of this false prophet. The leader who destroyed Fiji in 1987 wants to come back and have a second chance. He closed the National Bank of Fiji last time. What is he going to close now? FDB, FNPF, what? One must not forget that under Sadalpa's current leader, on the outside, Mr. Sitiveni Rambuka, the budget of 1993 failed and the NPT government collapsed, pushing Fiji back to elections and pushing the bill to the people of Fiji. Yesterday, Honorable Nawaikula stated that the government is afraid of Mr. Rambuka. I'm telling him, don't try to scare us using a Major General because we have a Rear Admiral in our ranks. I fully support this budget. Lastly, Madam Speaker, Lastly, Madam Speaker, if the opposition wants to win the coming elections with their warped and convoluted ideas and thoughts, I say, in your dreams, in your dreams.